When you hear like autism spectrum disorder, right?
Yeah.
What comes to mind?
Yeah.
It's usually the social stuff, communication, maybe sensory things, right?
Right.
But we're going to deep dive today on something that's kind of hidden in plain sight.
Okay.
It's this link between ASD and, get this, gut problems,
Okay.
like tummy troubles. You
Mhm.
sent over some fascinating articles about this, and honestly, even I was surprised by how common it is.
Yeah, it's something that, people haven't really been paying attention to for a long time. For years, doctors and researchers, they kind of saw these gut issues as totally separate from autism,
Right.
almost like a coincidence. But the research is showing us now that we were so wrong to think that.
Yeah, and one of the articles you shared mentioned that up to 70% of kids with autism have some kind of GI problem. That's huge. We're not talking about like a random stomach ache here and there. This is chronic stuff, constipation, diarrhea, pain, the kind of stuff that impacts you every single day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where this term comorbidity is so important.
Mm.
It just means someone's dealing with more than one condition at the same time.
Right.
And with ASD, the list of these comorbidities, it can get pretty long. We're talking anxiety, depression, sleep disorders, even things like epilepsy, sensory issues. It's complex.
It really shows you how we got to look at the whole picture, not just one thing at a time, especially with autism. And in this case, it seems like the gut is a big piece of that puzzle. Speaking of which, some of those specific GI problems you highlighted in the articles, those really stood out.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm,
One that's just like heartbreaking to think about is severe constipation.
right.
We're talking so severe that it can actually lead to problems with behavior.
Yeah. Mm,
Imagine that discomfort and then not being able to explain it,
right.
not having the words or the ability to say, hey, this is what's wrong.
It's got to be so frustrating for both the person going through it and their family, too.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, you mentioned irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. And even inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's disease. And for anyone listening who's not familiar, Crohn's is it's a type of IBD that causes inflammation in the digestive tract, and it can cause a lot of discomfort. And it's not a simple stomach ache; it's a serious chronic condition.
Yeah, yeah. And if you connect that back to what we were just talking about with the whole comorbidity thing and how complex ASD can be, it just really highlights the challenges people are facing. It's not just about the autism, it's about understanding the whole person and how all these things connect.
It's like your body's trying to tell you something is wrong, but you don't have the words to say it or even fully understand what's going on.
That's like a communication breakdown happening inside your own body.
Mm.
And one of the articles had this really powerful example. It talked about a child who's having what looks like a meltdown to everyone else, but the root cause is actually agonizing stomach pain
Wow.
that they just can't communicate.
It really makes you think about how easy it is to misunderstand behavior when you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle.
Exactly. And another big piece of that puzzle that came up a lot in these articles is the whole thing with dietary restrictions.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. A lot of people with ASD have really specific food preferences and sometimes even sensitivities, right?
Right, exactly. So you've got those
Yeah.
sensory issues around food, and then you layer on these potential gut problems that might make it hard to digest certain things. And you can see how that could lead to some real nutritional deficiencies.
And it's like we always say, you are what you eat. What you put into your body affects everything else.
100%.
Yeah.
It impacts your mood, your energy levels, even your behavior.
Yeah.
So when you're already navigating the social and communication challenges of ASD, and then you add these gut issues and potential nutritional deficiencies on top,
It's like everything's working against you.
it can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is so crucial for people to understand. Recognizing this connection between autism and GI issues, it's not about adding to the challenges, it's actually about finding solutions.
It's like we're finally shining a light on this hidden problem so we can start to fix it.
Exactly. And once you understand the link, it opens up all these doors for targeted help and support, which can dramatically improve someone's quality of life.
Hmm.
You pointed out some of those potential solutions in the articles you shared.
Yeah, there were a few things that really stood out to me, especially when it comes to like getting the right help. For example, one of the things they emphasized was how important it is to find a doctor or, I guess, a medical team that really understands both sides of the coin here, both ASD and GI issues. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's absolutely essential. You really want a team that understands the connection between these two, how they can influence each other.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just see like a general practitioner or even just a gastroenterologist.
Mm-hmm.
You want people who are really specialized in both areas, who can connect the dots and provide that holistic care.
It's like you'd want a whole team, right? Like a gastroenterologist, but one who specifically has experience working with people on the spectrum, maybe even a dietitian who understands those sensory sensitivities around food.
You got it. It's about finding the specialists who can really zero in on each aspect in a way that makes sense for that individual.
It's like instead of just dealing with the symptoms, you're actually getting down to the root of the problem, right? Seeing how it's all connected.
Exactly. And the articles you said, they talked about some really promising approaches, like just simple dietary changes,
Okay.
working with a dietitian to figure out what foods might be causing problems or coming up with a meal plan that's both nutritious but also, works with those sensory preferences.
Which can make all the difference in the world.
Right.
Like if a certain food is actually leading to these outbursts or tantrums or even just discomfort, identifying that and managing it could change everything.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And it's not even just about what you eat. It's about the whole experience around food. The articles even mention therapies that can help with anxieties around meal times or like certain textures of food.
So you're helping someone feel more comfortable and less overwhelmed at the dinner table, which, let's be real, makes things better for everyone involved. It's amazing how much we're realizing about the connection between the gut and the brain.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I really think we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to learn, so much potential to make things better for people with autism and their families.
It's like you were saying earlier, we're finally starting to see the big picture, the way it's all connected. And for anyone listening who's really been digging into the world of autism, this whole conversation just opens up a whole new layer of understanding.
I hope so. If there's one thing I want listeners to take away from this, it's this. If we're only now really understanding how important these gut issues are in autism, what else are we missing? What other connections are out there waiting to be discovered?
It's like a call to action, you know? Keep asking questions, keep digging deeper, keep advocating for a more complete understanding of autism with all its complexities.
Because when we broaden our understanding, we open up the possibilities for better support, better interventions, and ultimately a better quality of life.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. And I have a feeling, based on the articles you picked, this is just the start of your journey into the world of autism. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep sharing what you find. You never know who needs to hear it.